You going to be a football player when you grow up?
Today is the best day of your life. Believe
Give me 18 years of daylight. That's all.
Greatest leader I've ever known.
What a ride it's been!
When you make a mistake, you have to live with the consequences. I think he'll be remembered as the person who was involved in dogfighting. That's never going to be forgotten. Some people are never going to truly trust you. Some people are never going to truly allow you to let go of your past.
I was living the time of my life. 23 years old with $35+ million. Like, what are you to do? I'm pretty sure if y'all was in that situation, y'all probably wouldn't have did what I did. I understand the situation that y'all in. I understand how hard it is to come back from from a felony. I was in that cell right in the front. Without struggle, man, you'll never make change. My life changed for the better.
If it's a blessing to see that you made it,
yeah,
it gives us at least hope, saying that somebody else can have a second chance and make it.
Like one of his runs, Michael Vick's path to redemption is at times winding and seems endless. The Michael Vick experience was a dance between trouble and triumph, on and off the field.
I'm sure when he was a kid and played tag, he was never it.
It was like having Barry Sanders back there as your quarterback. The most dynamic, athletic quarterback that there ever was.
I'm gonna give him all this, baby. I'm gonna give him all that.
He was the most thrilling player of a generation, who became the most reviled.
This guy had everything, and he risked it all and ended up losing it all because he wanted to have dogs fight against each other. What planet are we on?
A man who seemed to have everything had to start from nothing once again.
So I grew up right up in here. It's my house right here on the corner. Growing up, we always had, more than most, but it still wasn't enough. I've seen a lot of things that I wasn't supposed to see. I've seen, dead cab drivers. I've seen, crack being slung. I've seen, shootouts. Not the easiest city to live in.
Newport News is a tough town, affectionately referred to as bad news from those of us that are from there.
His dad, he didn't pay any attention to the kids. I did everything.
My dad liked to run the streets. My dad liked to do his thing. My dad really went down the wrong path.
Growing up with a dad that was on drugs, that was abusive to his mother. It's some things that he probably wanted from that relationship but just couldn't get. It's like, is this the road that I take in life? Is this the road that I want to take in life?
Fearing her son would follow in his father's footsteps, Brenda Vick signed Michael up at the local Boys and Girls Club.
I was a cheerleader on the cheerleading squad, and they was like, y'all need to come around here. There's this guy, he's like throwing his ball everywhere, and he's just playing so good. We just ran around the corner, and I was like, who is it, who is it? I was like, oh, that's just my brother. I know him. He does this all the time. This is nothing new.
He wanted to get out. What I offered him was a way, a direction.
Football was Vick's doorway out. Tommy Riemann held the key. As a prominent coach in Bad News, he'd seen the area produce future professional athletes in Aaron Brooks and Allen Iverson.
Allen Iverson put on a show.
We play hard all night, we shut him down.
But Michael Vick is the finest athlete I've ever seen.
Here you go, babe! Good job!
Probably in ninth grade, the first time I heard about Mike. He's a local legend.
He had college letters coming from everywhere. Syracuse was a big one. The quarterback was Donovan McNabb, and he just loved McNabb.
It really got down to us in Syracuse. He went there, Donovan McNabb showed him around, they hit it off.
Virginia Tech, I had never seen him on TV, never seen him in a bowl game. I felt like what Donovan had built at Syracuse was what Donovan had built. I was saying to myself, this is an opportunity for me to leave a legacy. My first college football game, I just remember being so nervous.
The first play for Michael Vick.
Threw a pass into the flat, it looked bad. My coach called a quarterback draw. He told me he was going to give me a play just to settle me down.
Here's Vick taking the snap, scrambling, running with the football, crosses the 50, turning on the Jets. Look at that speed! He's racing all the way into the end zone. Touchdown, Tech! They couldn't catch him.
From that point on, it was over. Over.
Oh, baby, the Vick era is here.
There's just not that many that can play quarterback the way he could play quarterback.
Oh, what a throw by Vick.
It just looked like something out of a video game. Out there freestyling, just doing crazy things.
This guy is a big-time player.
He was just so much faster than anybody else on that field.
Vick finished third in the Heisman voting as a redshirt freshman and took his team to the national championship game.
Starting out the game, it's 28-7.
Right now, it is all Florida State.
There was only one thing we could do, and that was fight back. And we had Mike, so I mean, you don't need much more than that.
The Noles were offside, and Vick makes the most of it. With the speed, he breaks free.
As good as a team as Florida State was, Mike was still that much faster than everyone.
Oh, he's Houdini. I've never seen it. I never seen it. Option, Vick going to keep it for the end zone. Touchdown. The Hokies have put 22 unanswered points on the scoreboard here in New Orleans.
And I'm like, we really got a chance to win the national championship. Before I knew it, Chris Winkett dropped a bomb on us, and then Peter Warrick did something special. It was over.
Gave us a great show, didn't he? Sure did.
He changed our program. He changed the university. The whole country was talking about Michael Vick the next day.
Vick led the Hokies to another 11-1 season his sophomore year. The NFL was next.
When it was time to declare for the draft, I didn't want to go. And I came back home to think the decision over with my family and talk it over with my mom. I just looked at the surroundings and everything that was around me, and I looked at what we was living, and it was a no-brainer. This is something that I've been thinking about doing all my entire career, and the opportunity was presented for me, so I had to take full advantage of it.
After his sophomore season, Michael Vick declared for the 2001 NFL Draft. The San Diego Chargers held the first overall pick. But with teams clamoring to land Vick, that changed just hours before the draft.
San Diego was willing to trade
You just don't see quarterbacks that have that combination, you know, of speed, quickness, ability to throw the football. So we wanted to make sure that we could have that first pick and get the player that we wanted.
The Falcons traded a first, second, and third round pick, along with wide receiver Tim Dwight, to move up to number 1.
With the first selection in the 2001 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Michael Vick, quarterback, Virginia Tech.
Dream come true, baby.
I was really itching to see him because during that first game, we had a TV timeout. It's a close game, and he reaches in his helmet, and he pulls out a thing of chapstick. And he just kind of hits his lips real cool, real confident. And everybody just kind of standing in the huddle like, and looking around like, did y'all see this cat? And that drive, he drops back, cuts through the line to the right side, 25-yard run.
Now you know what all the excitement is about. This guy can make something out of nothing.
I was like, yeah, can't wait to see some more of this guy.
The wait wasn't long. Vick was named the starter in his second season.
Let's go, baby. Now or never. Gotta realize that right now, it's now or never. Let's go.
I'd gone through that type of ability with John Elway, going, no, no, yes, yes, yes.
Everybody talks about him running the ball all the time. Well, he could throw that ball too. It was just a flick of the wrist. He's using the football as darts, just.
Going long for Jefferson. Oh, yes. Making the grab. Touchdown. You have just seen Michael Jordan of the NFL.
That's what you call an arm. Hell, that's what we got him for.
We played Minnesota in Minnesota. One of the things that tried to get through to Mike was if they play man coverage across the board, when you don't see anybody open, they're not covering you.
Vick ran through the Vikings man coverage for 173 yards, a single-game rushing record for quarterbacks.
What a superstar! Somebody pick up that jock at the 30 and give it back to a member of the Vikings.
He made so many unbelievable plays in that game that were just incredible.
Overtime, tied at 24 in the Metrodome, where the chant is defense.
I just told myself at the line of scrimmage, if they play man, it's going to open up a lane down the middle.
Big play action, being chased, coming near side, keeping the football. Go, Mike Vick! This is over! It's over! Yes! A 46-yard throw by the incomparable Mike Vick. Wow, what a run! Oh, man! Still running! Running in the clubhouse!
It's probably the only game I didn't shake anybody's hand after the game because Mike runs into the tunnel and we just run in the tunnel with him. The game's over. It's overtime. Bye-bye.
An 8-game unbeaten streak put Atlanta into the playoffs, where they faced the Packers, who had never lost a home postseason game in their 83-year history.
Lambeau Field. Feel good though. Thought it was gonna be a little colder than what it was.
Well, there's a runner and a passer, and he's in one body for Atlanta. His name is Michael Vick.
He told us to know about their history, and we came in here to make history. He said, we're going to shock the world.
We get the ball first. I'm hitting a bang, bam, bam, bam.
How do you stop him?
You don't.
Here comes Vick, rolling to the near side. In trouble.
And Vick gets away from one. He's still on his feet. Now he cuts it to the right side. He's cut it to the middle. He's got the first down. How did he do that?
Still to this day, sometimes I have dreams. I thought I had enough to, like, you know, kind of yank the back of his head to pull him towards me out of bounds.
Dr. Biamilla has control of it. He has everything. Michael Vick just makes it great, straightens out his face mask, gets his helmet back on right, and then goes back the other way.
Jefferson, touchdown Falcons!
This is an amazing game by the Atlanta Falcons tonight.
They talk about the great upsets. This is pretty stunning.
You made history today, and you did it 22 years old. Stop and think about that. How many people make history at 22 years old? It's wonderful.
I just left there thinking, I mean, this could be the dawn of one of the great quarterbacks we will ever see.
Coming up.
He was like a rock star.
Well, that's not in the playbook, but it should be.
I was a member of Reebok and I couldn't wear his shoes. And that really pissed me off.
What is the Michael Vick experience?
When you see me running around on the field and dodging defenders, spinning, you're hurdling over guys, flipping in the air, that's the experience.
Welcome to the Michael Vick experience.
Put your hands and feet in the harness. Enjoy the ride.
Well, that's not in the playbook, but it should be.
By 2004, at age 24, Michael Vick was the NFL's main attraction. He was rewarded with a record $130 million contract.
Just saw number 7 jerseys everywhere. He was like a rock star. You know, if I was going to hang out downtown, I would sit in my car and wait for Mike to get there so I can go in with him.
We'd go to different events, and then you have a police escort. He'd be in from little old Newport News, and we get to go through red lights. You know, they only had to stop at red lights. We had an AirTran deal. We was flying for free. Just attending this event and meeting different stars.
We had rap songs about them, the music videos. A lot of quarterbacks aren't relatable to black people. All they grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth, and Mike was just this raw kid out the projects.
Young people who might have looked up to Joe Montana and might have looked up to Dan Marino. Now this was somebody who spoke their language, who looked like they did, who played the way they wished they could play.
He had the headband on, the braids. As a young Pop Warner guy, you know, I tried to imitate him every time I got a chance to on the field, wearing a long towel, wearing a visor. I wanted to be like Michael Vick.
Y'all here, boy. Hey, my wife want to take a picture with you after the game. By the bus, okay? Y'all there. I'll meet you over there.
In 3 years under new head coach Jim Mora, Vick dazzled, becoming the first quarterback to rush for over 1,000 yards in a season.
be a lot faster in real life. A lot harder than it looks on TV.
I would always tell Mike, go do what you do best. I didn't want him to feel like just because he was a quarterback that he had to force something. On a daily basis, you'd see him do something where you just go, wow.
Spin was a great addition. It worked out.
Sometimes things just click.
7 is worth every dime.
It was a great time. You know, almost being like a superhero, you know, in a town that needed a superhero. All I wanted to do was bring that city a championship one way or another.
His opportunity came in 2004 against his former idol Donovan McNabb and the Philadelphia Eagles.
When I say kill, you say Vick. Kill! Kill! Kill!
The gains that he had made throughout his career, but in particular that year, when he'd take off and run, it was ridiculous. I felt like if he'd shut down Michael, then everything else would be okay.
Vick is back. He is stumbling and he's sacked.
Toughest games I played was against Philadelphia. They did a good job in keeping me bottled up.
Throws, intercepted Dawkins at the 30. It's a poor decision by Michael to throw this ball.
They put the ball in Mike Vick's hands and force them to do something they're not really comfortable doing, and that's dropping back and throwing the ball.
It was his final playoff game as a Falcon. The lines between his professional and personal life began to blur.
I think at the time, one of the things that concerned the Falcons is that he was basically living two lives. He was going home to Virginia all the time. He had a couple days off or a long weekend. He was going to Virginia.
I just came back because, you know, I was still stuck in the realm of, you know, being with my friends, hanging out with the guys. Everything that I thought I was doing right I was doing wrong, and I probably should have spent more time in Atlanta. I should have spent more time in the film room, hands down. You know, I probably had me a piece of hardware by now.
Michael had a group of guys that he grew up with, and they consistently stayed around him. We had a great bond on the field. We had a great bond in the locker room, but we weren't going to dinners and eating out as teammates. I mean, those things just weren't happening.
He'd be the last one in and the first one out.
Not really a perfectionist. You know, I just get the job done.
When you're young and playing in the National Football League and you're the face of a franchise, face of the league, there's a lot of maturing that has to go on for you. I just couldn't wait for that maturation process to happen for Michael.
The league will fine Michael Vick $2,500 for each middle finger shown to the Georgia Dome crowd Sunday.
Things are still going to happen. Situations are still going to come up, but it's all about how you get yourself away from it and, you know, how you persevere through those situations.
Going through security at Miami's International Airport, the water bottle that Vick was holding contained a substance in a hidden compartment that had, quote, a pungent aroma closely associated with marijuana.
The Michael Vick experience would soon take on a different meaning.
I have a developing story to tell our viewers about right now.
I was actually on the golf course in Atlanta.
Yeah! Oh my gosh, look at that thing.
Right down the middle. Good job, Mike.
When my best friend called me and told me, I knew it was over. You know, the things that I was trying to hide for so many years or thought I could get away with was now coming to light.
How could a football star making literally millions of dollars allegedly get involved in something like this?
Allegations of hanging, shooting, body slamming, even electrocuting dogs to death as part of a multi-state underground dogfighting operation. It's a record-breaking NFL superstar, a former #1 draft pick, losing a $120 million contract over dogfights.
I was surprised because I'd never seen a violent or angry or mean side of him.
I was stunned because Mike loved dogs. You know, we used to have Saturdays where you could bring your kids or, you know, whatever. And Mike would bring dogs with him to practice.
Would you at least like to proclaim your innocence?
Like I said, we won't talk about the situation right now. And when the investigation is over, then I'll be more than glad to answer any questions you have for me.
Michael Vick pled guilty to federal dogfighting charges.
66 dogs were removed from Vick's property, Bad News Kennels. The reports show some animals were found buried, dead on that property. I personally think that he's a sociopath.
The collective picture was a very bad one. There were tremendous concerns on my part about the severity of the crime, the effect on the animals, as well as the attitude of the individuals involved in this operation.
Bad News Kennels was started as wanting to breed pit bulls with the patches and the ones that, you know, looked pretty, and it was show dogs, and we was gonna sell them. And it just went from one aspect to another. It was kind of scary back there. Everything was all black. That was our cover-up. We had a place where we trained the dogs. We had, you know, and 50 dogs on like chains. And it was the area where we had all the medicines and things that we used. Then you go upstairs and that's where they used to tangle.
Where I grew up at, dog fighting, I didn't know that it was legal, and I didn't know if it was illegal. I knew several people, several friends, that if they had a pit bull, you knew at some point in time they was gonna fight it against somebody else who had a pit bull. That's just the way it was.
The first time I saw a dog fight, I was like 7 years old. And those bushes right there, see them big trees just leaning over like that? That's where everything used to happen. And that's where I seen my first dog fight.
I know about the area in which Michael grew up. We work in those neighborhoods. It's a very sad situation when children grow up not thinking of dogs as friends, but as just something on a chain in the backyard. It's like a junked bicycle. Dogs are often just commodities.
Michael Vick was a person who had an effect on the lives of many, many young people. He cast a very, very wide shadow, and that's why he had to be accountable for the effect he had on other people.
Vick was sentenced to 23 months in prison and ordered to pay just under $1 million in restitution for the care of the dogs.
First, I want to apologize for all the things that I've done and that I've allowed to happen. So I will redeem myself. I have to. Thank you.
I kept saying, Mike, let's just run. Like, let's just escape. We could leave the country. We don't ever have to come back. Let's just go. He was like, no, I got to go do my time and get this over with. He was getting out the car, and I just was holding him. I didn't want him to go. I kept saying, please, just don't go. Just don't leave us. Like, what am I going to do by myself with 2 kids? He said, "You'll be fine. You're gonna be fine."
The uncontainable number 7 became inmate number 337-65183.
It was heartbreaking for me. We came in together, and I'm thinking, at some point in time, we're going to lead this franchise, the city, to a Super Bowl berth, possibly a championship. The Michael Vick experience, it's over with.
Been a long time. A long time coming. Coming back in here feels smaller. And all I could think about was, damn, I just let so many people down, so many people believe in me. I just feel like I couldn't get no lower than this.
Michael Vick spent 2 months in Northern Neck Regional Jail and another 16 in Leavenworth Federal Prison.
I went to Leavenworth Prison and we spent about 2 hours together just talking about his goals and his aspirations, what he wanted to do with his life coming back. I thought he was serious about becoming a role model and, as he says, part of the solution to the problem.
I just never forget that day, just knowing that I had some support. I got somebody who's going to be there for me, who's going to mentor me, who's going to help me in all facets of my life and help me become a better person, the person that I want to become.
I didn't think he was getting back into the league. He doesn't pay attention to the media. I do. So, I'm hearing all these things, and I'm like, and I don't want to be like a Debbie Downer, but I'm like, babe, we need to think about life after football now. He called me. He's like, babe, I'm coming to Philly tomorrow.
It was important that he and I talk. You made a mistake, and do you understand that? Which he did, completely understood it. Are you willing to right the wrong the best you possibly can? And he was willing to do that. And so he was given a second chance.
I never thought I would go to Philadelphia. That just happened out of nowhere. That was the biggest blessing in disguise. Made a horrible mistake. And now I want to be part of the solution and not the problem.
When it happened, I'm saying, are you kidding me? And the people of Philadelphia went nuts.
I won't be supporting the Eagles. Sold my tickets for the season.
I understand that Vick is a great football player, but it insulted the fans.
It's the vilest thing I can imagine. It's despicable.
I didn't expect the public reaction to be great. That was the hole I dug for myself, and, I had to crawl up out of it.
It was a mess. We understood. There was no saying, well, we don't get it. No, we got it. We know what he did. I felt like if you took a survey, it'd probably be a 50-50. The 50% that were against it were going to be loud. And then there were going to be 50% of the people that sat there and go, hey, listen, the kid deserves a second chance, and let's see what he does with it.
This is not a slam dunk. He's going to have to be absolutely committed to be proactive. If we don't have an extremely proactive player here off the field, then this is a terrible decision.
I got a call one day from President Obama. His primary reason for calling was, in a way, applauding us for giving Michael Vick a second chance. He knew so many prisoners and kids that just had gotten into trouble that never got a second chance.
A week after Mike signed, we went to a steakhouse in Philadelphia. When we went in, people stood up and gave him a standing ovation. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. When you watch the media gives you different perceptions, and they're not always true.
One media member sought out to find if perception had become reality.
I was working for NFL Network, and they asked me to go back and do a sit down with Mike. Probably the first time we'd really been face to face since everything went down. As we talked, just kind of the cameras and the lights just kind of faded away, and it just became a conversation between two guys that had known each other for a while. Why didn't you just come clean?
Just living my life. My whole life was a lie, Jim.
What could I have done? I look back and I say, how could I have helped him more?
There was nothing you could do, Jim. Best thing for me that ever happened to me in my life was me getting shipped off to Kansas, man. Because other than that, I wasn't going to change.
You've been watching film at home now?
Yeah, I watched, we used to get the DVDs back in the day.
Did you ever watch those DVDs in Atlanta?
Man, DVDs pile up in my car, Jim.
So if I'd have put a check in one of those cases for $1 million, you'd have never seen it.
It'd still be sitting there to this day.
But not anymore, huh?
Not anymore.
He's paid as large a price as anyone could ever pay for what he did. And he'd probably be the first one to tell you that he deserved to pay that price. But he's earned my trust.
He was older and wiser. He sat in a jail cell. I mean, think of that, all the hours. There's a lot of dead time right there. Somewhere you talk to yourself and you go, I've destroyed a career, but if I get a second chance, I'm going to devour this thing.
With Donovan McNabb entrenched as the starter, Philadelphia tried to find unique ways to use Vick.
When Michael Vick steps on the field, it gets people's attention. We moved him all over. We widened him out at wide receiver.
Michael Vick trotting out onto the field.
We put him at halfback. I'm not even sure I'd call it creative. I'm not sure how good all the stuff worked.
Vick returned to Atlanta a much different man than the one who left. Now a gimmick player, seeing only a handful of snaps per game.
I cried on the way to the stadium. I used to own it, and I was the guy. Now I'm at the back of the bus. I'm the third team quarterback. I let the city down, I let myself down, I let my family down. All I wanted to do was just make it right.
Vick, he is in for the touchdown! Vick firing to the near side to Selleck. He's in! Touchdown!
A triumphant return to Atlanta for Michael Vick.
It's a great win. I just appreciate all the support. Appreciate the opportunity. And it couldn't have happened at a better time.
Philadelphia traded McNabb before the 2010 season and elevated Vick to the backup behind Kevin Cobb.
Cobb in the gun. He is running. He fumbles the ball as he's hit, and they say it knocks out of bounds.
And Kevin Cobb slowed to get up.
When Kevin went down, I was just saying to myself, Kevin, get up. I didn't think I was ready, but I thought wrong.
Looks like Michael Vick from the Atlanta Falcons back in 05-06. That sure does.
In vintage Vick fashion, he ran for 103 yards and earned the starting spot for the season. At age 30, he produced a career-high 30 touchdowns.
Oh, is he something? Oh, is he something?
He has zero distractions, zero expectations. So you got this purity of Michael Vick, a mature guy that had something to prove.
I'm about to make it happen. I'm about to go make it happen.
For that short period of time, he reestablished himself as the best player, most dangerous player in the National Football League.
What a play! What a throw by Vick! Amazing! Absolutely amazing!
Where he was in Philadelphia mentally.
Everybody relax, have some fun. It's an honor and privilege to play this game.
If he'd have had that in Atlanta, you'd have been talking about one of the best quarterbacks to ever play.
Trailing by 21, with the division lead on the line, Philadelphia got its own Michael Vick experience.
Floats it. Complete. Good. Running with the football is Selling. At the 20. At the 15. 10-5. Touchdown! The quarterback draw. We've got a one-touchdown game. He looks. He fires. Complete. It is to Macklin. And Macklin runs in for the touchdown! We're tied.
This is the type of game where legends are made.
Back dodged the punt. Jackson takes it at the 35. Oh, yeah! Oh, yeah! Midfield! Oh! He's at the 40! Oh! He's let it go! And the Eagles win! The Eagles win!
This is Miracle in the Meadowlands #2!
Those are the memories that I always have. I was a part of such great moments in the NFL. Nobody can never take it away from me.
Coming up, he sees that adversity as an opportunity for him to tell a story.
Please join with me today and help us reach out to these kids before they go down the wrong path.
We were watching TV, and breaking news came across the screen. Atlanta quarterback busted. I was already involved in pit bull rescue. I had been doing it for over a decade. The first thing I said was, we gotta get one of those dogs. There was well over 50 dogs. The judge had actually ordered that they be euthanized. Go and get it! All of them, except for one or two, were able to be homed.
Good boy, good boy.
He was the biggest, sweetest teddy bear. He was just afraid, is what he was. Go get it, go get it, go get it.
Good boy, Maggie!
So many of them became such incredible, inspirational animals later in life. There was a number of them that became therapy dogs, helped everything from people with PTSD to the elderly to young at-risk youth, spreading so much love and so much joy.
I love you.
The Vick dogs are an excellent example of second chances.
Michael Vick made the most of his opportunity in Philadelphia. He spent 5 seasons with the Eagles, being named the NFL's 2010 Comeback Player of the Year. His career is nearing an end, after being a backup the last 2 seasons.
Throws it long down the field. There's a man open. On the run at the 30. Here comes Michael Sweeten to the 20. Pittsburgh Steelers touchdown. We got Michael Vick. We got Michael Vick. It's a Pittsburgh Steelers.
I think when you're, 13th, 14th year, you start to understand that, it's more to life than football. I'm trying to figure out, what I want to do after football. But I can step on the field like this, and I can just grab one of these 3-4 kids. I can just make them better.
It ain't no question. If you want to, you can.
He sees that adversity as an opportunity for ministry, an opportunity for him to tell a story. A lot of boys that would not know who I was, would not listen to what I had to say, would watch him and look up to him and do what he said because he's Michael Vick. He's their hero. He's somebody they can relate to, and he's been through where they're living.
Vick worked as an advocate for the Humane Society and took anti-dogfighting legislation to Capitol Hill.
Please join with me today and help us reach out to these kids before they go down the wrong path. Thank you. The road to redemption for me is just to continue to doing what I've set out to do, post incarceration. And that's be an instrument of change. The more people I can come in contact with, the more people I can influence, the more people I can help.
I think his attempt was to redeem his career as a football player. He obviously had to say things that he regretted doing this. If any child heard a convicted dog fighter say that he was sorry for what he did and advised them never to do that, it's a good thing. But his motives, I doubt.
What Michael did kind of represents the right way we should do this. Somebody's got to give a man a chance. If they do a good job and they do the right things, we've got to say, you know what, we can forgive a mistake.
I think you could draw the conclusion that Michael Vick, after serving his time, is an inspiration for other people, that getting back on the right track can lead to a productive life.
Vick's former property has been given a rebirth. The Good News Rehab Center is home for abused and neglected dogs. Vick himself has added a new member to his family.
My kids are animal lovers. They love dogs. Lola, you want to show off?
Lola paw.
Good girl. I made it a responsibility for them and for myself to bring that into the household. You gonna hang it up? I don't know, Pop. Well, I'm thinking about hanging it up.
Yeah, man, I mean...
It's been a long time.
Yeah, so
it's been 15
you played
years.
a long time. That's a lot of football.
I did way more than I thought I was gonna do, that's for sure.
Vick has embraced the second chance he received. And now, he's giving one out himself.
At the end of the day, my dad is my dad. We all have flaws. I feel like we all go through tough times in our life. I give my dad a third chance if it came down to it. Pop, you took me fishing first. You was the first one. First time you threw your rod out, you caught a fish. We ain't catch nothing else for the rest of the night. And I hope to be remembered as a guy who went through some difficulties, but understood what it took to get back on top. I have to continue to do my work and continue to help make change. That smile on your face will take you a long way.
I think he's a lot more appreciative now. He enjoys football. He enjoys his family. He enjoys life right now. He had a second chance. Who doesn't enjoy a second chance in life? He's making the best out of it.